Okay, yes, we're finally doing it. However, interior detailing was not the only thing missing from that video. There were a lot of comments like, what about when it's really dirty, like super dirty, or during the winter and there's salt caked on everywhere? Comments on why didn't you talk about wheel and tires? What do you do to keep your tires from browning? How are your tires still so factory matte black? And even people asking, what about in between washes? You know, you just cleaned the car, had to go out late, and now there's an entire family tree of bugs splattered on the front of the car. What do you do then? So instead of making a video on just interior detailing, I figured I would make a one-stop shop, everything you need to know about washing and detailing your Tesla. Now, if you didn't see my original video, you don't need to go watch it, as what I covered in that video being the exterior, I'm going to cover in this video. And for people that have seen that video, I have made some slight tweaks and changes to washing the exterior that makes it even better. Now, just like I said in that last video, there is no definitive best way to wash your Tesla. My method is just one of many different ways. However, I've chosen my method because it gives a look that I'm very happy with without spending too much time, providing an insane amount of lubrication to prevent micro scratches, crazy water beading, the list just goes on. And from the comments you all left on the last video, you all seem to really like it too. But yeah, as long as you're not taking your car to an automatic touch car wash, then you're doing great. And if you don't know why I say that, just look up car wash paint damage, swirls, or just straight up crashes that occur in those tunnels. Last thing before we get started, every product that I show or mention is going to be linked down below. I am not sponsored by any of these companies, so the products that I'm showing are ones that I actually use. The links are Amazon affiliate links, so I do get a very tiny kickback, but it's Amazon affiliates. I can link literally anything that I want. Just want to be transparent with you all, and if you do decide to purchase through those links, it's a great way to support the channel without any extra cost to you. Timestamps down below to different sections. But let's get started. Exterior. I want to cover washing the exterior first, as I feel like that's why most people are here. For the products you're going to need, a 5-gallon bucket. I would recommend a new one that you can just dedicate to being your car wash bucket just to avoid any potential cross-contamination. The one I purchased was from Chemical Guys, and it's still going strong 2 years later. In fact, I have multiple of these buckets and they're all great. A grit guard. This goes at the bottom of the bucket and helps trap the dirt at the bottom while putting a physical barrier between your washing mitt/sponge and the dirt. It also helps cleaning off your mitt/sponge before reapplying it to the car. A spray bottle. Just like the bucket, I recommend a new one that you can just dedicate to washing the car. I'll have a heavy duty one that won't break after 2 months linked below. Next is the big red sponge from Optimum. This is going to be your primary cleaning tool. I know a sponge might sound outdated, but it's not just a normal sponge, and it was specifically made to go hand in hand with other things that we're about to talk about. A microfiber mitt of some sort. I personally use the green one from Chemical Guys. This is to be used before the big red sponge if your car is extra dirty. ONR, otherwise known as Optimum No Rinse. This is the magic ingredient. It encapsulates dirt while it's on the surface of the vehicle, breaks down that dirt while it's encapsulated to prevent micro scratches when you wipe it off, then drags the dirt to the bottom of your bucket under the grit guard when you rinse. Not to mention, it also lubricates the surface of your vehicle, which is great for further preventing those micro scratches. OptiSeal, another magical ingredient. This is a spray-on seal that's going to protect your paint while also adding extreme levels of slickness and gloss, which is what causes that crazy water beading. To be used every 3 to 6 months, and I personally use it as a drying aid, and I have had tremendous success doing that. Optimum Car Wax, a spray-on high-grade carnauba wax with sealant polymers and UV inhibitors. That's going to further protect your paint. I really like it because it adds that extra shine and slickness when used on top of OptiSeal and works really well as a drying aid for washes when you're not using OptiSeal. It doesn't swirl and requires no buffing. Power Clean. This is a very powerful APC that will melt those bugs in the front away and will also be used during the tire and wheel section. You should probably also pick up a secondary spray bottle for diluting, as you definitely don't want to use this in the same bottle that you use your ONR and then go back to using ONR. You definitely don't want to cross-contaminate the two. Lastly, towels, and you really only need 3 kinds. First is some GSM 500. These are going to be your overkill towels. These are meant for touching the car when you're not using ONR. So when you're applying wax or cleaning bugs off the front between washes. Second is GSM 200s. These are going to be your everything else towels, so like door jambs, wheels, interior, etc. And finally, waffle weave drying towels, as the name implies, for drying. These things absorb a ton of water. Like if you've never used a waffle weave drying towel, then you're in for a treat. I can wash and dry my whole car with like 1 or 2 of these small ones. As for the towels, I'm going to be recommending the Rag Company for all of them. They're a Korean 70-30 blend, tagless. They proudly state their GSM up front, which a lot of companies will try to hide their GSM. Fantastic towels. I absolutely love them. I purchased a pack of GSM 500s, 2 packs of 200, and a pack of their Dry Me a River waffle weave drying towels. And this was 2 years ago, and I still use them and they're still going strong. I lied. You're gonna need one more thing: water. 3 gallons to be exact, and I highly recommend distilled water. I normally pick some up from my local grocery store for $1 a piece. Using distilled water is going to provide you much better results and enables you to wash the car in direct sunlight if you have to. If you don't use distilled water and you're not very fast about drying the car, you're going to get water spots because this is a rinseless wash. Now, I know a lot of people won't mention price. I will. The upfront cost of all this stuff is gonna run you a little bit of money. However, it's gonna last you a long time. That bottle of ONR that you see, well, this is the same bottle of ONR that I showed in my last video. So yeah, this bottle is going on 2 years old and it's still not empty. And as for the OptiSeal, well, you can see I'm like not even halfway through it, and I bought this when I bought that bottle of ONR. So yes, it's a little more expensive than like an unlimited touch car wash plan, but it's much cheaper than what professional detailers would charge you. And a little secret that I'm gonna let you in on, these are the products that they're using. So yeah. Now, before you get started washing, you need to look at your Tesla and determine how dirty is it. Is it just some like road dirt, dust, and some bugs? Or is it salt caked on, mud everywhere, dirty? If it's the latter, then you're gonna need a pressure washer. There's no way around it. However, I'm not telling you to go buy a pressure washer. Every town or city, pretty much anywhere you go, is gonna have some sort of car wash chain that's gonna have pressure washers available. Just Google car washes near you. More than likely, you're going to find a self-serve car wash that has stalls, and each stall has a pressure washer there that you can pull into and pay a few dollars, then use the pressure washer as much as you want. And it doesn't matter if they have a good filtration system or not. You're only there to get the excess dirt, mud, salt, etc. off your vehicle before you actually wash it. So hit the whole car with a big emphasis on the wheel wells and the underskirts, as that's where really bad dirt tends to build up. Also, if you have a ton of bugs on the front, then hit the front as well. Once you've done that, head on home because now it's time to wash. Grab your bucket and place your grit guard within it. Then pour your 3 gallons in. From there, you're going to add 1 ounce of ONR per gallon. If you get the normal bottle of ONR, that's 1 capful. Then stir it in. Now grab your spray bottle and fill it up from the bucket. After that, put your cleaning tools in, so your microfiber mitt and or your big red sponge. If your car was dirty enough to warrant you using a pressure washer, then you should probably be using both. Let them soak for a minute, and if they're brand new, you should have let them soak in just some normal like tap water or something from your faucet overnight to soften them up. Now you're gonna wanna go panel by panel from least dirty to most dirty, which is normally in this order. Top roof glass and windshield, I do those all at once. Hood, front quarter panels, the ones with the headlights, front bumper, side windows, I do both at the same time, like on one side, along with the painted piece of trim above them. Don't forget the side mirrors while you're doing this too. Doors, one at a time, do not cross-contaminate as your cleaning tools will get very dirty very quick. Rear quarter panel, the ones with like the charge port. Stopping before you hit the side skirts. Trunk lid with license plate area. Your license plate also gets very dirty. Then side skirts and rear bumper last, as those will be the filthiest. Now, I'm not gonna show you how to wash each panel because, well, we'd be here all day, and it's the exact same process for each and every panel, including the glass. So I'm just gonna show you how to do one panel. Grab your spray bottle of ONR, spray the panel down, and wait about 60 seconds. This allows the ONR to work its magic. It's going to start breaking up that surface dirt, encapsulating it while lubricating the panel. After about a minute, wring your mitt or sponge out. It still needs to be wet, just not dripping, and go to your panel. Lay it on the panel, as your first pass is going to be with 0 pressure. You are just looking to get the surface level dirt that the ONR already absorbed, along with any loose dirt just sitting off. Also, you're going to be going side to side. I prefer horizontally, but you could go up and down. It's up to you. Just don't go in circles. From there, flip your mitt/sponge over and do your second pass. This time with some pressure, not a lot, just a little. Once you're done, head back to your bucket and place your mitt or sponge in it. Take it to the bottom and rub both sides against the grit guard. This is going to get the dirt off of your mitt or sponge, and it'll slip right under the grit guard as you're right next to it, thus getting you ready to do more passes on that panel if needed, or moving on to the next panel because you don't want to be taking dirt that you just got off that panel back to it, or taking dirt from that panel to a different panel. Now, how many passes you do per panel depends on how dirty your Tesla is. If you're using the mitt, normally you'll use it to get the excess dirt off, then doing 2 more passes with the sponge. And I'm always doing passes in groups of 2, one with no pressure and one with slight pressure. If you're only using the sponge, then your car probably isn't that dirty, and one group of passes being a no pressure and then a slight pressure pass will probably be enough. Now, I know it can be kind of hard to tell how dirty the car is, so how I gauge whether I did enough passes is by how dirty the drying towel is. So get lighter colored waffle weaves. A tiny little bit of dirt just means you might have missed a spot, it's no big deal. But if the whole towel is dirty after the first panel, then add an extra few passes going forward. You'll eventually get into a rhythm of knowing how dirty your car is from just daily use. Also, you're more than welcome to use just the sponge or just the mitt if you don't want to buy both. I like the look that the sponge gives the most. However, I use the mitt for the dirtier areas, so I gotta replace the sponge as often. Once you're done with the panel and got your cleaning tools cleaned up and in the bucket, it's now time for your drying aid. Like I said, I use OptiSeal every 3 months or so, around 3,000 miles, but sometimes I'll use it sooner if I just feel like the car has been extra dirty or if I've been through a ton of rain or whatever it might be. While the panel is still wet, grab the OptiSeal, spray the panel once directly in the middle, and from where you sprayed, start drying the panel. You're gonna notice that the OptiSeal has this almost oil-like look, and it's going to spread very easily as you're drying. You can do 2 sprays if the panel is big enough, like the top glass or bumpers, but make sure you space them apart. Now, if you're not applying OptiSeal, apply the car wax just like this. 1 to 2 sprays. You can be a little bit more generous with it. I do because it just smells really good. And dry it in from the point that you sprayed. But yeah, that panel is now officially done. Rinse and repeat, literally and figuratively. Every panel just like that until you've cleaned the entire car. Once the entire car is clean, if you used OptiSeal, you can go back over with the spray wax to give it an even glossier, deeper shine. Grab one of your GSM 500 towels and go panel by panel, same way that you clean the car. And because the panel is clean and with how much this stuff lubricates, you can rub it in circles, it doesn't matter. Swirls only happen when there's dirt on the surface and then you start swirling it around and you're just moving the dirt around while it's on the surface and it starts, scratching and swirling. But if the surface is clean, then it doesn't matter. Now let's talk about how to keep the car looking as clean for as long as possible in between washes, while also preventing bug buildup and cleaning unwanted accidents on the surface of your paint. You're gonna keep that bottle that you use for your ONR at the ready along with a GSM 500 towel. To be honest, I just put this in the little trunk cubby area of my car. I do not recommend you try and wash the entire car with this, right? So don't go over your entire car spraying this and then wiping it down. That's not good. Just the high impact areas like the windshield, side mirror caps, the hood, the headlights, the front bumper, those are all just bug city. Spray the panel down, let it sit, and then spray the towel and then wipe. Dry on dry is never good. Wet on dry is better, but also not the best. Wet on wet is the best. Tons of lubrication. It's gonna prevent you from scratching the car. This keeps the part of the car that gets dirtier way faster than the rest cleaner for longer. I do this once every week in between washes every 3 to 4 weeks. Or I'll do it if I'm out late and I come home and I realize that there's just a ton of bugs on the front. I don't want them just sitting there, so I'll go ahead and I'll wipe it off. Speaking of bug buildup, what do you do if you have neglected the bugs, you've let them sit in the sun? Introducing Power Clean. Dilute 3 to 1, spray, and let it sit for a few minutes. This will melt those bugs off. If you've ever, used ONR or anything like that, and then it's you're not really getting the really caked on bugs, you kind of have to use your fingernail, use this stuff. However, big disclaimer, do not only use this diluted Power Clean on your paint without hitting something else afterwards, either spraying ONR afterwards or just immediately washing it. And that's for reasons that we're just not going to get into because I don't really feel like having a chemistry class. Wheels and tires. Jokes aside about me complimenting my own tires, I actually have gotten questions on how I keep them so factory black, as most people have asked me, and prevent browning from people in person. But before we get into tires, let's first talk about the wheels, or as some people call them, rims. Now, assuming you fully utilize regen braking, you're gonna notice that your wheels don't really get that dirty on your Tesla, especially if you're using wheel covers like what's found on the 18-inch Aeros or the 19-inch Geminis. I recommend just spraying some ONR and wiping them down with your GSM 200 towels or just some cheapo microfiber towels. It's wheels, not paint. Now, let's say you've put quite a bit of miles on your Tesla and you've never cleaned the wheels because, well, a lot of people don't because they don't really get that dirty. Well, you might need a little bit more elbow grease. Enter Power Clean, full strength, straight from the bottle. This will melt all that grime and dirt off. If you're going down this route, I would recommend picking up a wheel and tire cleaning brush just to agitate the tire clean so it works even better. I'll have one link down below. Once agitated, just wipe it off. Okay, now time for probably my favorite part, the tires. I'm gonna have linked below a post going in depth on why tires brown from like a tire engineering standpoint if you're interested. But TLDR, they're supposed to do that. However, you are able to remove the browning and it's not hurting the tire when you do that. The browning is just a visual side effect that the tire is doing what it was designed to do. Now, the reason we're removing the browning is because we're gonna be applying a coating that is not only going to protect the tire, but also give it that nice matte black factory look. And well, in order for this coating to work the best, the tire either needs to be brand new, so like less than 1,000 miles, or freshly like deep cleaned. This works best if you're able to take the wheel off and lay it flat on the ground, but if you're not keen on that, no worries, but you will have to pull the car forward to get the part of the wheel that's against the ground. Grab your Power Clean, full strength, straight from the bottle, and hit the tire. Let it sit for a few seconds. Grab the wheel/tire cleaning brush I mentioned earlier and start scrubbing. You're gonna see the white foam start to turn brown. Once you've scrubbed the whole tire, wipe and repeat. You're gonna do this like 2 to 3 times or until the Power Clean is no longer turning like that super nasty brown color. Once you're done, give it 20 to 30 minutes or until the tire is fully dried. Now, this is not something you're gonna be doing every time you wash the car, so I really recommend you have a throwaway towel for wiping that like nasty brown foam off. Once everything has dried, it's time to apply the protection. It's literally called Optimum Tire Protection and Coating, and you're gonna notice that it's pretty expensive for such a little bottle. This is because it's only meant to be applied once every 3 to 6 months and is going to protect your tires from oxidation and aging. Now, while you could totally just put it on a towel and work it in, you're gonna destroy that towel if you do that, so I'd recommend some sort of like applicator. You should actually get an applicator with your OptiSeal that you can use. That's what I use. If it's your first application, do 2 or 3 coats, working it into the tire and wiping off any excess that drips onto your rims. If it's not your first time, well then 1 coat should be enough. It will have a blue tint, that's normal, and it will dry to black. Also should mention that this stuff will stain your hands, so if that's something you care about, wear gloves. Give it 30 minutes to dry and do not get the tires wet for at least 4 hours. Like, don't do this and then go driving in the rain. Now time for the last piece, the OptiBond. This is a water-based, and I don't know if I mentioned this, but so was the tire protectant that was also water-based, tire gel which contains no petroleum distillates, which are known to crack rubber, while also including UV and ozone protectants to shield from sun damage. But more importantly, it gives that nice matte look. I apply this the same way I apply the protection. I even use the same applicator. It doesn't really matter if you're cross-contaminating the two. I apply just 1 coat. Think of the tire protection as your OptiSeal and the OptiCoat as the car wax in terms of how often you should apply them. Tire protection, 3 to 6 months. OptiBond, whenever you're not applying the protection. And even if you are applying the protection, you can put the OptiBond on top for an even deeper, blacker look. Oh, and for power cleaning your tires, I've already kind of mentioned this, but just want to be clear, you're only doing that once every like 6 months to a year. Honestly, more closer to a year. That is, unless you get them super dirty. Like, I just power cleaned mine for like the first time on these tires at least, and that was after 10,000 miles. Last thing I want to mention is ceramic coating. I don't know too many people that do this to their factory wheels, but for like aftermarket wheels, I know a ton of people that do this. It essentially does the same thing that it does on paint. It just makes it super easy to clean. You can YouTube how to do it. I just don't want this video to be an extra 10 minutes. But for anyone wondering, I do have my winter wheels ceramic coated because, well, those are winter and it's normally grimier and I want those to be easier to clean. Interior. I have had black Tesla seats and white Tesla seats. I have used and abused them, and here's what you're gonna need. First is a window cleaner, and I don't think I'll ever not recommend Stoner's Invisible Glass Window Cleaner. It's so cheap and it works so well. Also, any microfiber towel will do. However, because there's a lot of glass in this car, you're going to be twisting like a pretzel to clean all of it, so I would recommend a reacher cleaning tool. A few sprays, wipe, wait a few seconds, and wipe again. You won't get any streaks with this stuff, and it's fantastic. Now, for anything that's not leather or glass inside of the car, I ONR it. I told you this stuff was magic. I'm talking the dash, trim pieces, doors, backsides of seats, underside of the glove box. If it's not glass or leather, it gets ONR'd. Plus, you're already cleaning all of the like door jams and trunk jams and all that stuff, along with your all-weather floor mats. Hopefully you have those with ONR and a microfiber, so you should already have some in hand. Last thing before we get into the seats is vacuuming. I actually have a video going up in a few days reviewing this little thing. It's a high-power portable vacuum, so make sure you check out that video, as these things will be on a massive sale soon, and I've really loved this thing. But yeah, vacuum, you don't need me to tell you how to do that. And finally, the seats, or vegan leather, or they're vinyl, right? I'm telling you how to clean vinyl and how to protect vinyl and how to keep your vinyl seats looking as best as possible, and your vinyl armrest and your vinyl door side things, vinyl. Fun fact, from the factory, your Tesla seats already have a coating on them, and this coating is meant to protect your seats, which is why the car's manual tells you to not use abrasive cleaners. Right now, the current fad is ceramic coating, and it's not that I'm against it. Don't get me wrong, I have PPF, my car is ceramic coated, right? I'm all about protecting, the surface of your car, even your wheels, right? My winter wheels are ceramic coated. But for your seats, do you really need that much protection for your seats? Do you need your seats to bead water? This isn't a drop top. It's not going to be raining in your car. Also, not to mention, it's pretty expensive. But yeah, while I don't personally use it, you can use that if you want your seats to bead water. Like I said, I'll have the #1 best-selling one linked below. Now, for what I use, Color Lock. They've been in the leather game for 25 plus years. They are highly recommended throughout the entire auto detailing community. They have special vinyl or artificial leather cleaners and protectants. They're great. With their artificial leather kit, you're going to get the cleaner, protector, horsehair brush, this thing is fantastic by the way, foam applicator, and wipes. The cleaner is a foam that you put on the brush and scrub into the leather. Not only is it going to clean, but it's also going to give that nice factory texture. Once you've had a car for a little bit, you've gotten your oils and greases all over it, it starts to get a little bit slick. This is going to restore that nice factory texture and that deep matte look, which is very nice if you have black seats, or even if you have white seats, well, you still have a ton of black leather in there on your armrest and the doors and your steering wheel. Friends don't let other friends have shiny black leather. I hit everything that's leather: seats, armrest, doors, steering wheel, everything. Then once you're done, you can move on to the protector. Just put a little bit on the foam pad and wipe it in, coating all the leather that you just cleaned. Now, this whole Color Lock system only needs to be used about once or twice a year. I used it when I first got the car and again at 1 year. But what about for the in-between? How do you keep it clean? Well, I clean it the way that Tesla tells you to, with warm water and soap. Except I use fragrance-free baby wipes because that's essentially the same thing, just much more convenient. I'll have these exact baby wipes linked below. Keep them in your car for emergency spots or for just general wipe downs every few weeks. Also, if you end up getting some shine, mainly talking about the black seats because the white seats don't do this, or stickiness, that just means that you used a little bit too much. Don't worry, the shine will subside into a matte finish and the stickiness will go away after a few days to a week. The first time I put this stuff on, that's what happened to me. And then the second time I used it, that didn't happen. I used a little bit less. So yeah, just a heads up. Don't freak out if that happens. Back when I had my long range with black seats, they were starting to shine really bad in the seat pan area after about 7,000 miles because I didn't put anything on them when I first got the car. I used this color lock and they immediately went back to their matte black look. As for my performance with the white seats, I did a full color lock clean and protector as soon as I got the car, and then proceeded to abuse and not clean them for a year, and the seats still look fantastic. And when I say not clean and abuse them, I mean like I went like 3 to 4 months in between like wipe downs, but I'm now wiping them down like once every like a few weeks or so. Now, if you're watching this video and you already have really bad blue jean dye transfer for whatever reason, right? You just didn't really clean the seats, you didn't put a protector on them, this color lock will take care of that. The cleaning part of it will take care of that. So no need to go out and buy anything else. However, if for some reason it doesn't, you are able to dilute power clean to like 5 to 1 and use that on your seats as well. So just a heads up. Nonetheless though, I am very pleased with Color Lock and can definitely recommend them. Great products. Also, if you're curious about like dirts and spills and stuff like that, yeah, like if you do this Color Lock system, you're just gonna be able to wipe those right up with a baby wipe. But that is how I wash and detail my Tesla, every little thing. And if you're curious on how I keep all this clean, well, I separate everything used for like tires and wheels because those are super grimy, and then everything else. And I'll do like 2 separate loads. I'll put them in the washer on the coldest setting with some free and gentle detergent, and I'll run it through a wash. And then I'll throw them in the dryer on no heat at all, because the dryer heat for almost all dryers is actually the melting point for a lot of these microfiber towels. So you don't want to do that. If the towels are super filthy, I'll actually let them soak in the ONR overnight with a little bit of white vinegar just to bring a lot of that like dirt and grime out. But yeah, that's essentially all I do. And my towels have stayed perfect for like 2+ years. And the last big tip that I'll give is that if you ever accidentally drop a towel on the ground, just throw it away. Or if you do want to save it, make sure you finally check the towel, run it through the washer. I've seen people that they've dropped towels, the tiniest little like pebble or like tiniest little piece of rock will get stuck in there. They don't see it. They go to wipe their car and then a massive scratch appears. Just be careful. Now, in terms of time, like how long all of this will take you, well, once you get it down, the exterior should take you about 45 minutes. Interior, 20 minutes, assuming you're not color locking the seats. And wheels and tires, also around 20 minutes, not including waiting for stuff to dry. But yeah, if you have any questions, drop them down in the comments section or shoot me a DM over on Twitter, or technically X, and I'll get back to you. Like I said, I'll have everything I mentioned linked down below. If you're new around here and you want to see more Tesla stuff, consider subscribing. It's free. Drop a like if you enjoyed the video, as it will help push this video to all those sad souls that don't know any better, taking their brand new nice Tesla to an automatic touch car wash. And I will see you all in the next one. Peace.